All right. Okay, so guys, if you take away anything from today's session, I want you to take away that choosing a specialization allows you to become a better advisor. Number two, choosing a specialization will also allow you to become able to close bigger cases. It allows you to work with the right type of clients, and it introduces you to the right type of people that you can work with, right? So, a quick summary: you have to choose a specialization: asset management, risk management, family office, or corporate financial planning. So there was one specialization that no one spoke about, and I do want to talk about that before we call it a day. That is corporate financial planning, because some people have to learn to specialize working with just corporates, right? These are board of directors. These are key man insurance. You're doing group life, group medical. You're talking about succession planning. You're talking about inheritance. Working in the corporate space is quite a unique position to be in. A lot of advisors do not specialize in corporate financial planning. I did corporate financial planning for about 3 years, where I would stand in front of board members and I would do key man insurance for the board. I remember there was one case study, and I do want to share this case study. I asked the board, how do you replace board members? And there was one very old man in the board, and he said, Sanjay, it's very difficult to replace a board member, because every board member comes with a different knowledge skill, and the most important, they come with a different relationship set. There are certain clients that work with our company because of our board of directors, because they have a relationship with one of our board members. And if we lose that board member, it is almost impossible to replace board members. And therefore, it is so expensive for the company when they're choosing board members, because board members bring things to the company that are very difficult to replace. It is easy to replace officers, CEO, CFO, COO, but it's very difficult to replace board members. And that is one of the most amazing conversations that I had. I ended up doing $10 million on life insurance on every single board member. There were 17 board members, and that was $170 million of sum assured that I did on that one board. And the purpose was to identify future board members that would be able to allow the company to continue progressing and growing. So guys, I did want to spend this time sharing with you on all these 4 different things. It is a good time for us to look at some questions, to answer any questions. So Harris, I'm going to ask you to come on. And
Yes,
do you have the list of questions that have
yes,
come
I
up
do.
on the chat? Because I've not been able to focus on the chat. So if you've collected the questions, please let me know. Because
Yes. Okay.
I was speaking to everyone, so I couldn't look at all the messages that everyone sent through.
Of course, of course. Okay, we'll start with a really good one. This is sent by Philippus. So Philippus asks, what happens if we meet a client that is different from our specialization?
Collaborate. There's one thing that I want all of you all to realize: you don't have to become a specialist in everything. You can collaborate with other advisors. For example, when I started in this business, I'm not a lawyer, right? So I collaborated with lawyers to solve any legal problems that my clients had. I wasn't a tax advisor. I wasn't a guy who understood taxation. So I got an accountant. I got a chartered accountant that I collaborated with to work on that. I'm not an expert with medical insurance. Actually, I am absolutely not an expert with medical insurance. However, I have a friend whose only area of expertise is medical insurance. He doesn't do any life insurance. He only does medical insurance. So I collaborated with him to do all my medical insurance. Before I started this session, um, I'm sorry, guys, I did run late. And the reason why I ran late, I was actually with a client who wanted to do something on credit insurance. I'm not an expert in credit insurance. So one of the senior underwriters of credit insurance, who's a friend of mine, came in to take care of that client. And I told them, I said, you guys continue the conversation because I don't know anything about credit insurance. Well, I do, but I don't want to do it. It's not my area of expertise. And I came in and I started the session. So while we are here, I have a client meeting going on in the other room, right? And this is a client of mine that I collaborated with someone else, and I introduced the client to this person because he's an expert in that particular industry where I'm not, right? So I don't try to become an expert in everything. I learn to collaborate with experts around the world. So if there's one thing you take away from today's session, don't try to be everything to everyone. Learn to be something to someone, right? It will allow you to be very, very confident. Your conviction will be stronger. Your ability to grow will be a lot more better. So that's the advice I would give.
All right, beautiful. Okay, now a question from Rahul Shah. So he asks, when planning for child education and retirement planning, which specialization would this be?
Again, you see, you're looking at products, you're not looking at specialization. If I was looking at this, I would probably look at either risk management or asset management, because retirement comes under assets, children education comes under risk, right? So what is the probability of you not having enough money? That's more, so children education planning comes under the risk management category. Retirement planning usually comes under the asset management category. So that's a product. It's not a specialization. Specialization is either asset management or risk management. Retirement and education planning are two products that identify or work with different risks or different assets in your future.
Okay, perfect. Now, a question from a person's name, which is it's a very interesting name, McCarroll McCoy. Hopefully I said that right. So he asks, what would be a good example of a good introduction? And I think I'll add on. I think if, let's say, you want to introduce your specialization, how do you fit that into the conversation?
So it's usually like this, right? So let's say Harris, I was speaking to your advisor. The first question that clients usually ask is, so what do you do? Right? So when someone asks you that question, what do you do? I have to give an answer, right? Is what do you do? So the introduction that I usually use is, I'm so glad you asked what I do, because every time when someone asks me what do I do, it makes me think, what do? I do a lot of things. And then I share a case study. I'm a specialist with, and you would add the word I'm a specialist with and share a case study, right? Because a lot of people don't understand how that specialization works. So for example, let me ask all of this question. What is the difference between a cardiologist and a cardiosurgeon?
Oh.
Right? What's the difference between a cardiologist and a cardiosurgeon? They both work in cardiology, right? What's the difference between a cardiologist and a cardiosurgeon? Okay, so question, who does a bypass?
The surgeon.
Okay, who does angioplasty?
Oh, I have no clue.
Cardiologist. And that's what I'm trying to tell you. You see, we've got two, angioplasty and bypass is both in our critical illness list, correct? Right? Angioplasties are done usually by cardiologists, and bypasses are usually done by cardiosurgeons. Open heart surgery, valve replacement, those are cardiosurgeons. So you've got super specialization just in the world of cardiac, right? Neurologist, neurosurgeon. What's the difference between the two? Right? Everyone thinks, oh, I need to have a brain problem, I should go to a neurologist. But a neurologist will probably recommend you to a neurosurgeon if you need to get surgery. Right? So one is a consultant, one's an executioner. There are some things that the neurologist can also do, but there are certain things that a cardiosurgeon also has to do, right? So they recommend each other, so they collaborate. So if doctors can collaborate, if bankers can collaborate, different types of bankers, investment bankers versus mortgage bankers versus credit card guys, they're all different types of bankers, right? They could be working in the credit card department, the liability department, the asset department. They're all in the banking industry, but they're different specializations. Then how come in our industry we don't have specializations? Why is everyone trying to sell everything? We are all trying to become supermarkets. And that's what I need to change. So introduction comes down to giving a case study to explain to your client what it actually means, right? So if I say I'm a specialist with family office management, what does that mean, right? Do you help set up family offices? Do you become an advisor to the family office? What is the case study that you bring to the table? So it always comes down to what's your introduction is a case study, because most people don't understand the meaning of a risk manager. So when I say I'm a risk manager, what does that mean? Give a case study, right? So it explains, that's your introduction.
Okay, perfect. A question from Fatin. So Fatin asks, is it suitable to use gap insurance presentation for small business owners? So I think this is out of specialization, but specifically that
Absolutely.
presentation, gap insurance.
Yeah. I mean, gap insurance works with business owners. It works with family offices. It works
Hmm,
with gap insurance. Probably works with anyone that has their own private balance sheet,
okay.
right? So gap insurance doesn't usually work for employees, right? So if you're a salaried employee, the gap insurance concept doesn't really work very well. But gap insurance usually works with business owners or with family offices, estates, whoever has a private balance sheet.
Okay, perfect. All right, question from Hannah. Hannah asks, how do you create urgency to ask a prospect for a meetup?
Hannah, let's catch up for a coffee. It's been a long time. Let's catch up for a coffee. Urgency is not created. First of all, why are you in a hurry?
Hmm,
If your client doesn't buy today, they buy after 5 years, you earn more money. Why are you in a hurry? The problem is you're trying to get appointments. There's a difference between meetings and appointments. Appointments are stressful. Meetings are just catch up. Let's catch up for a cup of coffee. Let's catch up for a cup of tea. Learn to catch up with people instead of trying to, you know, have appointments. Learn to have meetings, guys. There's a big difference between appointments and meetings. Meetings is just casual. Have a conversation. You've forgotten the art of conversation. You're trying to do presentations by opening up your laptop and get your iPad and start a PowerPoint presentation. Let me show you this video. It's damn good. Let me show you this PowerPoint presentation. Guys, stop doing PowerPoint. Come back to old school. When the basics are so good, why do you want to get complicated? The
mhm.
basics work. Come back to the real world. Life is simple. You complicate it for no reason. The wealthier the client, the simpler the solution. Please remember that. Don't complicate your conversations. Make your conversations simple for clients to understand. And that's the advice I would give you, Anna.
Perfect. So I don't know who asked this question, but the question is, what if I just started and I don't have a lot of clients? How do I choose my specialization, or when do I choose my specialization?
I usually recommend that you should start choosing your specialization once you've got about 100 clients. So that's
Mhm.
the benchmark that I've set, that once you have had about 100 clients that you're managing, you should now start to specialize from there on, because you already have 100 clients and now you're just acquiring more and more clients. You'll be acquiring the wrong clients after that. So the first 100 people that you usually work with, these are people that you care about and will do anything and everything for them. I'll give you the
Mm,
justification, right? The first 100 people you work with are people you actually care about, and you
mm.
will actually do anything and everything for them. But after that, the clients that you onboard should be clients that you only want to work with, right? They are usually friends of your friends, or friends of your or colleagues, or someone that you randomly meet or you get recommended to. So if you want to work with these recommendations, you should be working in a specialist manner. But your first
Mhm.
100 clients are people that you actually want to work with, and you will do anything and everything for them. So your first 100 clients is, you don't need a specialization. But once you've hit that close to that 100 mark, I would say anywhere between that 80 to 100 mark, you should start choosing a specialization.
Okay, lovely. Now, a question from Chu Fong. What happens to other clients that I got before I did my specialization?
Any
So
promises that you have
mm,
made in the past, you keep them. But any promises you're going to make in the future, you can choose them.
mm,
Any promises you have made in the past, you keep them. But any promises you're going to make in the future, you should choose them. That's how you
okay,
manage it.
all right, spot on. Now, a question from Jason. If you want to sell critical illness coverage and health insurance, which specialization do you choose, and which target market would you recommend?
The target market is your choice. Everyone needs critical illness insurance.
Mhm.
With specialization, like I said, it's a product. It's not a specialization. Um, okay, let me ask you this question: do cardiologists prescribe Panadol? Yes,
Probably. Yeah.
if required. Panadol is the medicine. Uh, the cardiologist is a specialization. Um, do they recommend vitamin C, vitamin D? Yes, right? You could be going to a neurologist and he would tell you take vitamin B12. Vitamin B12 is a product. Neurology is a specialization. So don't confuse the product and the specialization. Critical illness is a product. Asset management is a specialization.
Okay, very good. Now, a slightly more complex question. So what if the family that I'm working with also runs the entire corporation? So this involves both family office and corporate financial planning. How do I differentiate that?
If a family is running a corporate, it's actually family office management. It's not corporate financial planning. Family office management, one element could be corporate financial planning, but when I talk about corporate financial planning, we're usually talking about medium to very large enterprises. We're talking about publicly traded companies. They have a very different structure. They bid out every year. They would do bidding for the insurance structures. They would have consultants that would tell them how to structure the insurance element of their balance sheet. They actually have budgets for insurance allocated. They have to spend that money. So a very different structure when it comes to corporate financial planning, right? Their budget allocation is once in a year. So if you meet them in the middle of the year, they will not choose you because they only make a decision at one time in the year. So you need to identify when you need to sit down with them. I have for example, one of my mentees, he's a specialist with corporate financial planning. He's only busy in the month of December and January. He's free for the rest of the year. He only works 2 months in a year, right? Because the corporations will only make a decision on purchasing a product between December and January. They don't purchase any product in March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November. They don't buy anything. So the balance 10 months, he's only doing relationship management, prospecting for next year, servicing them. That's all he's doing. His actual sales happen in 2 months, December and January. If he doesn't have a good December, he doesn't have a good January, end of the year.
Okay, very good. All right. I mean, that's a life. I can just imagine that. 2 months of the whole year. Fantastic. Okay,
It's
last
not
question.
fantastic because if he has bad 2 months, he's struggling for the next 10, right?
Yes.
So he's got very little opportunity for the rest of the months. Now he's hoping that they budget him for next year and they don't give up on him. So it's not always very nice, right? So let me ask you this question. Do you like to have a seasonal business? Do you like to have a regular business? Do you like to have a one-time business? What type of business do you like?
Yeah, I mean, regular. The thing that you taught all of us, small cases make you, cases keep you alive, big cases make you rich, but you need the small cases.
Exactly. So that's the problem, right? When you don't understand your business and you don't plan for that, you will have problems. And that's why when you're choosing a specialization, please find a mentor that can guide you on that specialization, because a lot of people don't understand this, that you need to build the right knowledge bank, the right skills, and the right attitude to that particular specialization. That's one of the reasons why I left corporate financial planning to the end, because it's one which is very different from the other three. The other three kind of are a little hybrid, right? So family office does a little bit of risk management and a little bit of asset management. Asset management does a little bit of risk management, a little bit of family office. But corporate financial planning can be quite different from the other three, right? And very few people specialize in that area.
Okay, wonderful. This will be our last question. So, Dr. Sanjay, what is your favorite specialization?
Okay, I've had a journey through all four. My father made me journey through all four. So I started as a risk manager. I upgraded myself to a corporate financial planner. So I was managing corporations. Then I moved on to asset management, where I became a wealth manager for some of the sovereign families. And that's when I started learning asset management and I started looking at international investments. And then once I worked with with these sovereign families, I realized the way they think is very different from regular people. And that's when I realized I need to get into family office management. So the last 12 years I've been in family office management. My first 10 years, I went through all three specializations. I was a risk manager, I was a corporate financial planner, and I was asset manager for the first 10 years of my career. But the last 12 years, I've specialized in family office management. It's quite a unique specialization. It's quite intensive. You need to have a few educational qualifications to get you the credibility as well. So if you want to get into that specialization, there are a few educational qualifications that are required. It's a very um, professional position to be in. It's not for everyone. It's a very it looks very glamorous on the outside, but it's very stressful on the inside. And I'm telling you, it's stressful because a case could take you anywhere between 8 to 9 months to close. So you need a very thick pipeline. You need to have the patience to ride the wave. And it's definitely not something that you want to choose as your first specialization if you're new in the business, right? So I would definitely not recommend you to choose family office as your first specialization. Risk management and asset management would probably be your better options. Corporate financial planning is great if you have a background where you've worked with corporates in the past and you have the ability to find or get into that market. So I do recommend corporate financial planning to people who have worked in corporations in the past and have got access to some of these corporations, right? It depends on what type of clients you've worked in the past. What's your profile? Are you a new graduate? Have you run businesses before? What is your background? You would have to consider all of those when you're choosing your specialization.
Okay, wonderful. So for our viewers, if they want to find out more about specializations, when will you be covering it next?
I don't think I'll be covering it anytime soon, Harris. I am already booked out all the way till next year. So I truly don't have the time. I did want to do this session because I realized I haven't done a specialization session for anyone, and I've not clarified this for a lot of people because a lot of people see, I'm talking about specialization, but I've not been able to classify the purpose of each specialization. That's the reason why I wanted to do this session, was for people to understand that stop becoming supermarkets. I'll tell you the real reason why I did the session. 3 weeks ago, I was in Singapore, right? And I don't know which company this advisor was from, but I was sitting at Starbucks. She was sitting on a table right behind me, right? And I could overhear the conversation. And she pulled out brochures of her company, and she told her client, which product would you like to buy? And when I heard that, I was like, oh my God, she is a supermarket, right? Can you imagine you go to the doctor and the doctor tells you, what medicine would you like to take? Scary. And that's when I told the whole team, I was like, guys, can you please help me put together a session where I can talk to everyone about choosing a specialization, because we've got this wrong, man. You don't go in front of a client, display all your products and say, which one would you like to buy? Stop becoming a supermarket. You're losing your credibility. You're dropping the reputation of our profession. And that's when I realized I needed to do the session that, guys, I don't want you all making the same mistakes that other advisors are. And I want all of you all to truly be considered professionals, and you get the ability to grow in this business, because there is no limit to how much you can grow in this business. There is no limit to the progress you can have in this business. So best of luck. If I had to summarize everything, I would summarize it to one thing. Choose a specialization, right? God bless, and thank you very much, Harris. Thank you for coordinating this.
No worries.
Appreciate it. Thanks for your time.
Sanjay, just before you go, one thing. I wanted to ask about the big case closer mastermind that's happening in September, right? Will you be covering specialization there, or what would that be about?
So I'm doing a mastermind for my mentees on the 1st and 2nd of September in Singapore. Okay. And the purpose of that is to identify, number one, what are the case studies that they will need to do to be able to become a specialist. We'll be talking about how to collaborate with other specialists. What are the different things that you need to look at? How do you choose who do you collaborate with? What are the things that you're looking for in terms of product? So I'm also going to be talking about how to design concepts around a product. So what I realized was I teach a lot of concepts. Once I do the concept, a lot of advisors ask me, hey, which product is that? And I'm like, oh my God, I've not been able to classify product with a concept, right? So I've taught concepts. A lot of advisors, they start with great concepts, but then they don't know which product fits into the concept. So I realized I need to start helping advisors look at their illustration and build a concept around that illustration. So during the mastermind, we're going to look at products, we're going to print out illustrations, and we're going to make concepts around the illustration. So that they get instant results from that. So I will be doing the mastermind, but the mastermind is only for the BCC mentees, right? So it's not open to public. It's only for those who are in the big case closer mentorship, and specifically for them. So that mastermind is quite a closed session that I'm having.
Understood. Okay, thank you very much. I just have a few more announcements, but you can take a leave, Dr. Sanjay. Thank you again.
God bless. Thank you.
Wonderful. All right. So as Dr. Sanjay mentioned, right, so the Big Case Closer Mastermind is happening on the 1st and 2nd of September. That is only for BCC members. We are opening up an opportunity for you to join the BCC group. However, that's only available for 10 more slots. There will be a form that you have to fill. I think I'll get somebody from the team to put it into the link in today's video. So if you're interested in joining the last 10 slots, for BCC and hopefully come to Singapore for the 2-day mastermind. This is again from 1 p.m. to 10 p.m. on both days. It's 18 hours. Usually you only get 3 or 4 hours with Dr. Sanjay. So this is definitely a more intense session. So again, if you're interested in that, go check that out, as well as the bundle order promotion that we have. That's 8 books available. One more time, I'll just go through all the books. We have the Estate Planning Playbook, Concept Presentation, Closing, Sales Maximizer, Financial Planning, Perfect Mindset, Blue and Green, and the Big Case Closer Mindset, and a bonus for our prospecting videos for $157 US. That's mentor.sanjaytolani.com/points. Okay, so thank you everybody, and hope to see you again for our next session. And I hope you definitely enjoyed today's session. We'll see you again. Thank you again from people from all over the world. Thank you and good night.